Good morning, dear students. So, yesterday we have gone through the basic information related to respiration. Okay, we have seen the definition of respiration and the types of respiration, and we have gone through differences, major differences between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Clear? So, today we are going to see how the respiration takes place in the cell. Clear? So, respiration is broadly classified into two heads. Okay, as we already discussed in the last or previous class. One is aerobic respiration. Okay, then the second one is anaerobic respiration. Okay, so aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Clear? So aerobic nothing but it requires oxygen. This does not require any oxygen. It takes place in the absence of oxygen. It takes place in the presence of oxygen. Clear? So in this particular aerobic respiration, we have 4 steps. Clear? There are 4 steps in aerobic respiration. One is glycolysis. The first step is glycolysis. Then the second step is PAOD. So pyruvic acid oxidative decarboxylation. Pyruvic acid oxidative decarboxylation is the second step of aerobic respiration. Then the third one is Krebs cycle. Okay, so Krebs cycle is the third step of aerobic respiration. Then finally we have got the last step, that is ETS. Okay, so electron transport system. So electron transport system is the final or last step of aerobic respiration. Okay, got my point? Then come to this one, that is anaerobic respiration. So in anaerobic respiration only there are 2 steps. One is glycolysis is common. Okay, so glycolysis is common for both. Clear? Then the second one is fermentation. So second step is fermentation. Okay, so this is about entire picture of respiration. So we have to read, we have to study one glycolysis, second one is pyruvic acid oxidative decarboxylation, third one is Krebs cycle, and final one ETS. Then here glycolysis and fermentation. Okay, so now this glycolysis takes place in the cytoplasm of the cell. Cytoplasm of the cell. For example, just see how the cell looks like. This is a cell. Just imagine this is a cell. Okay, so this is the nucleus of the cell, right? So there is a fluid or liquid substance inside the cell. This liquid or fluid substance can be called as cytoplasm. Okay, so glycolysis occurs in the cytoplasm of the cell. For example, so this is a cytoplasm of the cell, so there glycolysis takes place. For example, so this is glucose. This is the glucose molecule. So glucose molecule undergoes into splitting. One particular glucose molecule that contains 6 carbons. Okay, 6 carbon compound glucose undergoes into breakdown process or splitting process. Then finally 2 molecules of pyruvic acids. So 2 molecules of pyruvic acid is formed due to splitting or breakdown of glucose molecule in the cytoplasm, right? So this is generally called as glycolysis or glycolytic pathway. So in between glucose to pyruvic acid there are several steps. Generally there are 10 steps in between glucose and the formation of pyruvic acid. Okay, so then this pyruvic acid, okay, so this pyruvic acid enters into mitochondria. Okay, for example, mitochondria are there in the cytoplasm. So these are the mitochondria. So mitochondria is nothing but they are the cell furnaces or energy producers. Clear? This is what mitochondria. Powerhouse of the cell is mitochondria. So this mitochondria is I have taken out from the cell. This is a mitochondria. So this pyruvic acid molecule, 2 moles of pyruvic acids enters into mitochondrial, peri-mitochondrial space. Peri-mitochondrial space nothing but what? So there are 2 layers. There are 2 layers around the mitochondria. The one is outer layer and the second one is inner layer. Outer layer is common, the inner layer. So this is infoldings are seen in the inner layer. So these foldings are generally called as cristae. Okay, so there are infoldings or you can say foldings. Okay, so these foldings are generally termed as cristae. So this pyruvic acid enters into a space between 2 layers, that is outer layer and the inner layer. So this space can be called as peri-mitochondrial space. Peri-mitochondrial space nothing but there is a space between outer and inner layers of the mitochondria. Okay, so now what happens here? Then finally it reaches to matrix of the, this is the matrix, the liquid substance of the mitochondria, that is called as matrix. Okay, so then these remaining 3 steps takes place in mitochondria. Okay, mitochondria. So one is pyruvic acid oxidative decarboxylation, then third one is Krebs cycle, and finally we have got the last step, that is electron transport system. Okay, so this is glycolysis. It takes place in the cytoplasm of the cell. So due to glycolytic pathway, one glucose molecule breaks down into 2 moles or 2 molecules of pyruvic acid. So this pyruvic acid enters into mitochondria. Then we have another step, that is pyruvic acid oxidative decarboxylation. Okay, now then followed by whom? Krebs cycle. Then finally ETS. Okay, so due to all the steps, so finally we get, so due to all the 4 steps, we get CO2 liberation will be taken place and water formation will be taken place. Then apart from these 2 compounds, we have got energy. So we have got energy in the form of what? ATP. Okay, so yesterday I have given you the information related to ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate is a kind of energy form, so which will be formed after completion of all the 4 steps in aerobic respiration. Clear? So this is about aerobic respiratory mechanism. Then come to anaerobic respiration. So anaerobic respiration, so here only 2 steps are found. One is glycolysis. Glycolysis is common to both aerobic and anaerobic. The first step is common. First step is common in both the respiratory types. One is aerobic and the second one is anaerobic. Okay, so generally glycolysis takes place in the cytoplasm of the cell. Same thing will be repeated. What is that? One glucose molecule breaks down into 2 molecules of pyruvic acid. Okay, in general, in aerobic respiration, this pyruvic acid enters into where? Enters into mitochondrial matrix. Then the following steps will be taken place. But here there is no involvement of mitochondria. Remember, so there is no involvement of mitochondria. Mitochondrial involvement is absent in the anaerobic respiratory mechanism. So hence both the steps means what? One is glycolysis and the second one. Both the steps will take place in, right? So both the steps will takes place in cytoplasm. Okay, cytoplasm. So due to these 2 steps, what will be formed? Generally CO2. CO2 is an end product, common end product of any of the respiratory mechanism. Whether it is aerobic or anaerobic, whatever the respiration type is, general end product is carbon dioxide. Then we have got C2H5OH. Ethyl alcohol. Ethyl alcohol is another end product of anaerobic respiration. Sometimes we get lactic acid, butyric acids, and different compounds will be formed due to anaerobic respiration. Clear? So this is about the picture of anaerobic respiration. Two steps. One is fermentation and the second one is glycolysis. Both the steps will take place in the cytoplasm of the cell. But this aerobic respiration happens in the higher level of plants and the higher level of animals. But anaerobic respiration will take place in the parasites or microorganisms, roots in the ground, underground roots, and sometimes we get we have some parasites in our digestive tract, that is intestine. So they perform anaerobic respiration. Clear? So this is about complete nutshell of respiration. Okay, just see, just observe what are the steps in aerobic and what are the steps in anaerobic respiratory mechanism. Clear? So now in the next session we will discuss about aerobic respiration. We will start with aerobic respiration and we see first step, that is glycolysis, then followed by PAOD, then Krebs cycle. Finally we will discuss ETS, that is electron transport system. Okay, so after completion of this particular topic we will move to another topic, that is anaerobic respiration. Clear? So thank you one and all.